so getting right into it. Please tell us about your childhood. Where were you born, and where did you grow up? And what was your favorite part of your childhood?
Okay, I'm Adetoun Jegede. I'm from what you would call an extended family. So there are very many in my family. Let's just leave it at that. I was born in Oshogo, Osun State. And then at age 4, we moved to Lagos. And I remember vividly, my first time in Lagos. I was very excited. That time we were living in Surulere. My mom and I moved to Lagos actually to join my dad.
He was already in Lagos?
Yes, he was working in Lagos. So we were living in Surulere. So I was really excited at the time. And what was the most exciting part of my childhood? I would say that has to be visiting friends, because I didn't really have, even though I had so many friends, I didn't really have so many of them around me because I was a boarder. But every chance, to go and visit my friend whenever we came home for a holiday, I used to visit. So I used to go to my friends' houses a lot, and I guess that's where most of my memories came from. So yeah, that has to be.
You said you were a brother. What school? What school?
Lagos State Model College Campus, Badagry.
So if you went to that school, just
shout out to them.
Alright, so my second question is, growing up, who was the most influential person in your life and why? And if they were like different at different stages of your life, you can also break that down.
Okay. So the first person that comes to mind right now would be my auntie, my dad's younger sister. So I came from a Muslim family. Yeah. So my auntie was the first person to get born again in the family. She was the only one. In fact, thinking about it now, I salute her courage, because I'm sure it was in the 90s and it wouldn't have been easy for her. It was in those days when they used to say, this one deserves you, But she was the first person that, exposed us to Christianity, or even, exposed me to Christianity, because I probably didn't know there was anything like that outside what I was used to. So yeah, she was the first person that took me to church as well. The first scripture I learned was when I went to her church. I sang in the choir, even though I wasn't a Christian. I sang in the choir. The first song I learned that time was "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding." It was someone in her church that taught me. So that's the first person. And then they used to say we look alike, because we had the same name until she got married. My maiden name, of course, was her father's name, and then we have the same first name. So yeah, she was the first person. Then over time, I would say my sister, my older sister. Yeah. My older sister was I was a good girl, but my older sister was such a good girl, very good girl. And, just watching her do her thing. In the university, she was a chaplain. At home, she would pray, and she used to give a lot. Even as her sister, she would just, put some amount in the envelope and just hand it over to me and just, write a note. So those things. And I also remember her always telling me, because I was a daddy's girl. I remember her always telling me, you better learn to be independent. You better learn to be independent. Don't always depend on daddy for everything. So yeah, both of them, I would say, influenced my childhood to an extent. Yeah.
What university did you attend?
Covenant University.
Okay, so again, see you people. Shout out to you. Okay, what did you study?
Economics.
Wow, that's amazing. So my next question: did you, while you were in school, there are this set of people, like, okay, while I was in school, there were this set of people that knew exactly, like, if you ask them like this now. And then when I was in school, there was this rave about knowing exactly what you wanted to do with your life, your future, everything. And it was so, at some point, it was like, so if you don't know, you're like the most unserious person. and all that. So my question is, did you always know your what you wanted to do career wise and any other way? And is that what you ended up doing?
So I wouldn't say I always knew what I wanted to do career-wise. That would be a lie. But I knew what I loved. I remember back in the university, we had like a conference or something, and somebody came to speak to us. Actually, it wasn't just one person, but this particular person I remember came to speak to us, and he told us to, close our eyes and envisage our future and imagine what we wanted to do and just have that picture in our heads and in our minds. So I know that I had always loved fashion, but I didn't know exactly, what I was going to do with it. I didn't have it all figured out. I studied economics. Trust me, I was not interested in economics. I studied it for my dad.
Well, many in that boat.
I studied economics. I didn't like mathematics, so you can imagine what I was going through. It was a struggle. I think what really helped me, to scale through school was the fact that everybody I was working with, they were doing very well. So I just managed. Because of the kind of friends I had. So, but I knew that I loved fashion. I didn't exactly know what I was going to do with it. And of course, even if you knew what you wanted to do, you still needed to work somehow. So when I came out of school after service, even though, during service I learned fashion designing in the little way I could learn back then in the north. During NYC, I learned fashion designing, a bit of it as well. But after NYC, I needed to work, to make some money. Yeah. So I worked in the reinsurance industry for 6 years before I finally.
Can you explain, because when I saw that name, I was like, reinsurance industry. I don't think I've heard this one before. Sorry, but so can you explain what that is and what you were doing?
Okay, so reinsurance is like, insurance. That's the common one, right? So what they do is they take risks. So the reinsurance company reinsures the insurance company. In the case of insurance deals with the individuals.
Yes.
So you come to me that you want to insure your car, you want to insure your bike, you want to insure your house, right? I insure it as an insurance company. Now, the reinsurance company deals with the insurance company as their clients, because we're dealing with risks. And one company, imagine that September 11, what happened then. Imagine that it was just one insurance company, just one, that insured the whole building. What would happen to the insurance company? It would crash, because you'll not be able to pay the losses. You can't, as a company, you can't. So they come together. It's like a pool of, companies, different companies to now say, we would insure everything that you have insured. So that we're all carrying the risks together. That's what reinsurance is all about. So I was a reinsurance broker.
Yeah. You worked in Lagos?
Yes, I worked in Lagos.
Okay. So for that 6 years, is it did you enjoy being a reinsurance broker, or when you just had to do what you had to do to keep food on the table?
I would say that, from the beginning, I enjoyed it. Because the job was everything I prayed for at the time. It was everything I prayed for. I enjoyed. It was a new field for me, and it was interesting, So I enjoyed it to an extent. But later, I started to struggle. I don't want to be here. I don't think I want to be here. I started to feel like, man, this wasn't it for me. I wasn't happy on the job, so I already knew that it was time to go. So I just took the next step.
Before you got did you work in one company all through the 6 years?
Yes, one company all through the 6 years.
And then before you got that job, was there a break? Were you jobless in quote for a period of time?
So like I said earlier, during NYSC, I learned fashion design, a bit of it. So after my NYC, while I was waiting to get a job, while I was, sending my CVs all over the place, I learned fashion designing again. So it was just a random sister in church that instead of sitting at home, can I come to your shop and learn? I didn't even pay her, so I was there. It was even while on that fashion designing journey that I got my job, which is another story entirely. I don't know
if it's interesting, you could share.
Interesting, yes it is, but it's okay. I'll just share, right? So at this time, I had finished NYSC and I was staying with my sister. I was always sending out CVs. I was frustrated from sending CVs, and so I was doing the fashion design, like I said. Then a particular day, a Tuesday.
Were you earning money from it?
From what?
Fashion design?
No, I wasn't.
Or you were just learning?
A Covenant University graduate. They would tell me to go and buy corn. They would tell me to go and buy amala. As I was, hey God, it was my fault. I'll be like, this, in my mind, a whole graduate, So I wasn't getting paid. And I was there, but man, it wasn't really what I wanted. It was just, to buy time. So this particular day, what I'm about to say, you are a Christian, so I believe you'll be able to relate. So this particular day, I was living with my sister, and as I was entering the house, I heard, when you live around like a church, and then you hear somebody singing from church, which is normal, like if there are churches around you. So this particular time, there was a young girl singing, and her voice, the way she sang was funny, so I laughed. And immediately I laughed, I heard the Holy Spirit tell me that you will go to that church, and you go to the choir. I said, God, what did I do? That day was a Tuesday, I can never ever forget. So every day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Holy Spirit will remind me, Saturday, don't forget you're going to that church. Don't forget you're going to that church. I said, Jesus. On Sunday, I used my 2 legs like this to walk into the church because he just wouldn't let me be. So I walked into the church and I knew why I was there. And I knew that it was going to be for a period of time. So it was a growing church. It was a young church. They didn't really. I was laughing at the way the girl was singing, and to an extent I can sing. So I went there. I told the pastor I was here to join the choir. So I joined the choir, but man, I was a Sunday school teacher. I was a chorister. Used to take care of sanctuary, all those things. And then at some point, I felt like I was giving so much to this church of myself, my time, my resources, and I wasn't getting anything in return. So I was feeling very drained. And after a while, I was just going because the Holy Spirit told me to come, and I knew it was for a while, even though I didn't know how long it was going to be for. So there was this couple in that church that, they were the only ones I could relate with in the whole church when it comes to like intellectual stuff. They were the only ones I could relate with. So I used to look at them like, what are these people doing here? I know that it's Holy Spirit that told me to come here. What are they doing? These people know something. Why are they here? Because even after the word was being taught, I'll be like, God, I'm not kidding you. What's happening here? So that couple one day called me and said, the wife called me and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm learning how to sew while I'm looking for a job. So she said, send your CV. I just took it as one of those send your CV that won't yield anything. Because I was done with sending of CVs. So I sent it to her, and she called me during the week. I think it was on a Tuesday again. Then she calls me to say, didn't you get a text message? You're supposed to be somewhere for an interview. This was around 12. I said text message. I didn't get any text message. So I looked at my phone. I saw that I had seen a text message. But immediately I saw insurance like this. I was not interested. So I just thought it was one of those, because I had gone for different interviews. This time I had gone to Abuja for an interview, thinking it was a good job, and I got there. I can't forget it, myself and my friend. I got there and it was rubbish. I had gotten a job in Lagos that they had told me come and resume, and then when I resumed, they were telling me that your department is not yet ready, go back home, we'll call you, so I was already frustrated. I already had different experiences. I also, in fact, as I'm saying, a lot is coming up in my head. There was one that we had to pay. There were some, they call themselves agencies, so most of them were, that we had to pay. So yes, I fell into that, scam. So when I just saw insurance, I just thought it was, marketing, and I just said I was done. Then she said that go there 12 o'clock. The interview was supposed to be for 10 a.m. I was like, I won't be able to go, ma. I don't have a time. I don't have blah blah blah. She sent me a time. At some point, I was like, for the sake of this auntie, let me just go. She was really calling me, and I had to go back home to change. By the time I was going back home, long story short, because it's a very long story short. By the time I got to the let me just tell this part. So on my way to the office for the interview, all the forces were against me. The bus I entered got spoiled on the way. The conductor was not ready to give money to anybody. I was already late for the interview. Everything was just, I was like, should I go for this thing? Well, that auntie's, that's her, how she was, there for me, pushing me, was just kept me going. So by the time I got there, it was 2 p.m. for a 10 a.m. interview. And I got there and they were just looking at me. They said what happened. I just gave them the whole story, and long story short, they asked me, they interviewed me, it was fun, I was smiling, I was just telling them everything I wanted. At the end of the day, I got the job, to my greatest surprise, and that job was everything I prayed for at that time. Everything I wanted, that I prayed about, was what that job was, and that was the job I worked for 6 years. So I just shared that story, to say, when I was entering that church, I didn't know why. When I saw that couple, I didn't know what they were doing there, but I obeyed God, and God just helped me to get my job and all that. So yeah.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions for that whole time. So before you got the job, you mentioned stuff about you were frustrated, you had applied for so many jobs, and that's our current reality. Do I have a job? But a lot of people like me are at the stage of they are just finishing school, or they're recent graduates, and then they are not getting jobs. They are applying, but nothing is showing up, and then they're like, what am I going to do with my life? Okay, people are starting businesses. Do I start? And then some people don't even, you had a passion for something. So even if they want to start, they don't even know what to start a business in. They don't. So my question is, that period, how did you deal with the frustration? What kept you going? What kept you encouraged? I know there will be times where you were very discouraged and all that, because I have friends that share that at that point in their life, some even got depressed, and we see people like you, and we're like, how did these guys get to this point? Like, are we ever going to get there? And so how did you deal with that frustration, and how did you keep hope alive, basically?
I think I just channeled it into every other thing I was doing. So my first advice for such a person would be, even if you don't have passion for something that maybe you want to pursue, volunteer, join an NGO. Now that you asked me this question, I remember that I was also I'm still a member of that, my sister I told you about, her NGO, Giving and Joy. I'm still a member, but I was actively involved because I wasn't doing anything else. So everywhere that I was privileged to be a part of, I gave myself. In that church, I was actively involved. At the NGO, I was actively involved. Where I was learning how to, learning about fashion design, I was, I just gave myself. So, and you want to surround yourself. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was somebody that said, while you are waiting, why don't you just do something? I can't remember who, maybe my sister's husband. But, because I was able to do all those things, I didn't know I can relate with that feeling of hopelessness. I can relate, but nothing lasts forever. You can't stay there forever in that place of hopelessness. You can't. So I think they should just volunteer, see things that, even if it's my sister I was talking about, while she was waiting also, she served in the church. And she gave that church her all. I think she was like the secretary or something. So you can't say there's nowhere that you
Because even the job you're looking for will find you at home.
So look at my job now. I got it from the church. So just be involved somewhere, somehow. See how you can volunteer. See how you can give back. I know people who go to school. There are so many public schools that don't have teachers. I'm not saying everybody is passionate about teaching, but there has to be one thing that you can contribute to. Even if it's to, say you want to be a sanctuary keeper in church, or you want to learn from somebody. There are so many people that you admire, try and get close to them, or know somebody that knows them. Ask, how can I help you? I'm here to serve you. How can I serve you? That kind of thing.
So it doesn't always have to be about money, especially at that.
I don't think so. I think that money will come, but you have to be diligent. You have to be hardworking. They have to see what is in your hands before they can now, give you. What do you have?
Money, value attracts money. Because I think my generation is very, in a haste. Like, we want everything fast. Like, there's so much pressure on social media. Once you just look, like, you don't even have to be doing something. Like, by just looking, there is pressure everywhere, and so it's easy to just succumb to that pressure. So my next question is: in those 6 years where you worked as an insurance broker, were you on the same level all through, or did you at any point move up?
Yeah, I was promoted. I'm trying to remember if it's once or twice, but I remember once now, because I started as a management trainee. Then from there to superintendent. From there, I was supposed to be an assistant manager. I think I resigned at being a superintendent. So yeah, I was promoted. So we had to do this, what's it called? Exam. What they call it? Professional exams that would take you to the next level. So if you were doing that, the company was very supportive. If you pass your exam, they'll refund your money. So I was even taking the exam. Yeah, they will refund your money. They were encouraging in that aspect. So I got promoted, I think once. Okay.
Alright. So in that stage of your life, doing that job, like at that time, what challenges or issues did you face? Even if it's like your on the job, your regular life, like, but at that stage of your life, you're a recent graduate, you're stepping up. Is it when you were trying to get a promotion? Any challenge at all you faced?
I think the challenge I had was majorly on the job, because I didn't feel like I understood all that. Compared to most people I was working with, most of them were I was in the reinsurance department. Most of them, technical department of every department, most of them were insurance graduates. So they knew these things. So me, I every day was a struggle for me. Though I used to ask my colleague knew me, I used to ask him a lot of questions, just so I don't get into an error. I would ask questions, even if you are angry that I'm asking, I'll still ask you. But the struggle really was on the job, and that's why I was just like, I can't struggle like this all my life. I need to do something that I love, I know, and I am passionate about. So yeah.
Okay, so in those times when you faced struggles? Okay, you already answered the question. You said you asked a lot of questions.
Yes.
Anywhere you didn't understand.
Oh God. If they are watching this video, they will be nodding. I asked a lot of questions. I would rather ask questions and you think I'm a fool than to, go and make a mistake outside. I used to avoid that a lot. I asked a lot of questions, as many questions as I could. If my department was not answering, I would go and look for somebody that can.
So your advice to people starting out in reinsurance, is it broking or brokerage now?
Reinsurance broking. Well, the value of what we collect is called, what comes to us is the brokerage. Yeah, but it's a broken firm.
Alright, thank you. So that's your advice to someone starting out in that field that probably didn't study insurance or even study, but it's like, what am I going to do?
Ask questions. That would be my advice.
So moving on to what you currently do, you're an entrepreneur, right? So just tell us the whole story, how you moved from being a reinsurance broker to being an entrepreneur. Like, I know there's always imposter syndrome, and were you very sure that, okay, I'm doing this, and you just went and did and everything was just smooth like that, or like, just give us the whole story?
Okay, so I'll go back to, I'm a Christian, so I'll tell you the way it is. So when I started getting unhappy on my job, every time I go to work, it was like, sadness would just come over me. Like, I'm literally looking at all of them like, that is what doing here. They seem to, as if I was an alien. That's how I was feeling. So I started, nursing the thoughts of leaving. But I knew that it wasn't time. I had that strong urge to leave for like 2 years. Up to like 2 years. I started, I was praying about it. I was always praying about it. Always praying about it. So I have this, if you check my phone, my prayer, when it's 11:50 p.m. Sorry. Yeah. 11:50 a.m. you will see TTP, which means time to pray. So I pray at 12. Even when I was in that office, I would, excuse myself for like 15 minutes and just go to the toilet. So I was always praying about it, but I didn't get that release to leave just yet. Until like after 2 years, before I now got the release to leave, I knew when it was time to leave. It was at the time of praying that I realized that, there's this thing they call note of victory. Like, okay, go ahead, you can do it. So that was when I now planned to leave. I planned to leave in December, but then I now got pregnant. I got pregnant, and the pregnancy really disturbed me so much. I was in and out of the hospital. So by September, I couldn't hold it anymore. I knew I was leaving anyway, so I just left. At the time I left, at the time I was already nursing the urge to leave. What I decided to do was to take a course in business, because I knew I was not going to do a 9 to 5 again. I wanted a job that would allow me some family time. I'm very big on being there for my family. So I wanted a job that would allow me some family time, which this job gave me. But now I was pregnant with my second child, and I wasn't just sure I was going to be able to, start waking up in the morning and coming back in the evening, even though I didn't really used to come back late. That job was just perfect. So before the 2 years was over, I did a business course at Lagos Business School. Their EDC, they call it Entrepreneurial Development. Their department, their EDC department. So I took a business course there on entrepreneurship just to learn what the
So you didn't just about. Say, I want to leave, and you left like that?
While I was on the job, I was always going on leave for the days that I had to go to school. I took permission from work. So even at that, I actually thought I was going to come out and be working with my husband. That was the plan. But I think it was while I was in school that the thought of what I now needed to do came alive, because I knew that I loved fashion. but I wasn't sure. So yes, I loved fashion, but I didn't really like being behind the scenes, doing all the sewing and the. But I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted. But with time in school, I got to know what I wanted, and
That's business school.
yes. So that was it.
So you were saying your entrepreneurial story.
Yeah. So I resigned, and after I resigned, I started my business, which was a maternity fashion, which is a maternity fashion business. Just like I said, I was pregnant. But even before I was pregnant, I knew that was what I wanted to do. So I started with myself, making sure that I was looking good, because I just wanted people to know that because you are pregnant does not mean you should be looking.
That's so important.
Yeah, so I started with my own outfits. I would wear clothes. People say, "Oh, where did you make this? You look nice. You look this. Okay, look at. I'm starting this business. See what I've made. See this, see that." And that's how I just started the business.
Okay. You mentioned a couple of times about marriage. Now, did you get married? When did you meet your husband?
I knew my husband. We attended the same school, so I knew him from school. Though we were just high friends. Then we reconnected again in 2012. Then we started dating in 2013.
Were you already working in the reinsurance?
So I met my husband just as I was about to start working. It was the same period.
Okay, so when did you get married? How long into your job?
I got married in 2015. I started the job December 2012.
Wow.
That
Okay,
was
so
it.
you dated till that time, right?
No, we started dating in
2013. So how did anything change being single and being on that job, then getting married, and you probably even moved when you got the promotion? So was it more stressful, or it was just the same?
I think it was just the same. So what I didn't tell you was when I was praying for that job, because I didn't have a car, but I prayed that I wanted a job where I would get somebody to drop me and pick me up from very close to my house or even my house, and that job offered me that. Like I had somebody to
Kind of dream job is that?
Yeah. So the thing is, I just prayed for what I wanted, and it came to pass. That was it. So it wasn't stressful per se. And my department at the time, if you came there at 5:30, you'll be wondering if these people came to the office today. 5 o'clock, 5:05, 5:10, we were out. Except towards the end of the year, which we were very busy. We used to do our renewals at that time. So I don't think anything much changed.
Or maybe I don't remember right. Even after having your first
Oh,
child.
of course. After having my baby, a lot of things changed. I now have to I had to hire a nanny. I had to bring my baby close to the office, to a crash close to the office, so that I could cater to him. Go, during my break time to breastfeed. And when we are going home, we all go home together. The nanny now also had to learn something around the office. So a lot changed, of course. When baby is involved, your life changes
Everything.
forever. Yeah.
So when before I started, I did a survey kind of to ask people what questions like they would like to ask people, and then everybody's set of questions, like literally almost everybody had the question about how to balance family and career, and having kids and relationships, like maintaining and building friendships, and still doing well in your career and taking care of your family, how to mix up all those things.
My sister, we're still on that journey. We're still on that journey of trying to figure out how to balance it. But for me, I would say that what has really helped me is having a support system, having the right support system, which I always advise. Especially if you're a career woman, you need help. You can't do it all by yourself. Like they say, it's one person that gives birth to a baby, it's a whole village that will raise a baby. So you need support. You need to put a structure in place. For me now, even as a stay-at-home mom, as an entrepreneur, I still, have support. I remember when I was when I had my son, my mom had to move in with me. She stayed with me till it was about 9 months. My mother-in-law first, then my mom came, and then when the baby was 9 months, my mom used to stay with him. It was when he was 9 months that we took him to creche. So it was when he was 9 months that she left. After that, I had to hire a nanny, to cater to the baby. Even up until now, I still have a nanny who, helps with the baby and some things in the house. So yes, you need a support system. I have a sister who lives around me. So whenever she needs to do her own runs, she'll bring her children to my own house. Whenever I need to do stuff too, I can take my children to her house. I have friends also that will do things like that. So you need a support system. I don't know, we're still on that journey of trying to balance it. We're still, just trying to balance it. I don't know if there's a definite answer, but you just need a support system. You need a support system, you need structure in place to be able to balance everything together.
So thank you. Back to your entrepreneurial journey. When you wanted to start, when you just had the vision in your mind, how confident were you? Did you have to deal with not feeling confident enough, or did you struggle with whether or not to start, how to start? Were you confused, or that period, how was it for you?
I wouldn't say I was confused because, at the point where the idea came, I knew it was exactly what I wanted to do. I ran it by people, which I usually do. Any idea I have, I'll run it by a few of my friends who give me said, what do you think about this? I'll talk to my husband. My husband has been an entrepreneur all his life. So to an extent, he has expertise. So I run it by him, I run it by a few people. And I'm a very real person. I don't believe that they would lie to me. Do you get? So, and if it's something that won't make sense, I believe that they will tell me. So I wasn't exactly confused, even though I was, I used to be one of those people that used to say, I'm not a business person, business is not for me, which was why I went to the business school, just to gain a bit of knowledge about it. But I wouldn't say I was confused. I wasn't confused.
Okay, but did you have any fears about
Of course. Who doesn't have fears? We all have fears. About starting anything. But you just have to take a bold step. Then you remember that yes, everybody that started something had to take the step. If they were afraid, those things will not be in existence today. So you just have to do it.
Okay, so if you could talk to your 20 to 25-year-old self, like based on your experiences back then and whatever it is that you went through, if you could talk to yourself, what advice would you give to yourself? Like seeing where you are now and where you were then, I'm sure you did not exactly envision. So what would you tell yourself, your younger self?
I tell my younger self not to be anxious. Even though, I've always been of the school of thought that you should live your life. Even when you are waiting, while you are waiting, live. While I was single, I would go out with my friends. We would take ourselves out to restaurants that we could not even afford. Even if it was just we would sit down, drink, take pictures. There were places that would buy rice without me. Just to hang out. So I had always believed in, because you are waiting or you are going through stuff, does not mean you should not live your life. But I would tell my younger self to not be anxious. I tell my younger self to draw closer to God and know His word more, because then I don't think I really used to pay attention to reading my Bible. I knew God, I used to pray, I used to praise. I don't think I really paid attention to studying the word. So I'll tell my younger self to study the word. Maybe if I had studied, I would have received more inspiration, by now. but I don't have any regrets. So I'll just tell my younger self not to be anxious. God has your future and you take it. The tomorrow is in God's hands.
Alright. So another advice. So what advice would you give to female entrepreneurs that are, nursing ideas currently or are just starting out as well? What is it you went to business school, so like what ideas would you give to
So
them?
the thing is, for me, I started, by saying I wanted to do a maternity fashion brand. And barely 2 years into that, I had an inspiration or an idea to write a journal, a pregnancy journal. I didn't see that journal coming at all. So I would say keep going. As you keep going, as you keep taking those steps, you need to get clearer. From the beginning, you might look like you don't know what you're doing, but things get clearer as you keep going. So I said I wanted to be a fashion maternity brand. I started with production. Now I don't even I produce, but I hardly do. I produce only for maternity shoes. Because I was having some challenges. I was like, no, this is not for me. So I started doing retailing and stuff. Before I knew it, the idea of the journal came, which is sometimes I'm asking myself these days, is it journal I'm doing? So I would say keep going. Keep going. As you keep going, you're going to get clearer. You know with time what you should do next. Have a plan, of course, but just keep going.
So I'm a very big, like when I heard about the journal, I was very like, wow, like this is like so cool. I even like planned on gifting it because I need my age to be getting married. Like so, like how did the idea come? Was it from a personal experience or like people's experience around you? And you may want to give a backstory to what the journal is for people listening in case they're like,
okay,
oh,
so
what
the journal is for pregnant women. It contains affirmations for their 40-week journey, and it has a section where you can journal your cravings, your how you feel, everything that is happening to you. You can write a letter to your little one that when your baby grows up, your baby can see, oh, this was what I experienced during your pregnancy. Yeah, that's what the journal is about. And then we have some pregnancy essentials also there. Then it has like a bio data page where you have your baby's data after birth, the height, the time of arrival of your baby, and all those details. So that's what the journal is about. How the idea came. Again, it was inspired by God. It was inspired by God. But I remember it came from me just having a conversation with my husband. I said beyond selling clothes for pregnant women, I just wanted to give value. Like I want to give them something. And my own pregnancy experience also largely led to it because I thought I was going to lose the baby. So I had to battle fear and all of that. So, and I had this online session where we talked about fear in pregnancy, and I saw that a lot of pregnant women were going through this. And I promised them I was going to give them affirmations, and I gave them the affirmations, and I saw the way they were always coming to download it. I saw a lot of people saving it and all. So I knew it was something that they needed. So I didn't just want it to be an ordinary, just affirmations after that. So I now decided to add journal, of course, with the ideas. It wasn't just my idea, but that's how everything came out.
I think it's really beautiful because even non-married single people like us, like there are a lot of ladies, that are scared of pregnancy.
Yeah.
We are a lot, and then it's something it's great to look forward to because it's like, oh, there is support and stuff like that. So amazing.
Thank you.
All right, so come on by.
Yes, so please come on by.
Yeah, and I think there is a care package too along with it.
Yes, recently.
It's amazing. Well done, man. All right. So I already asked you about, but you talked about balancing. Do you do you at this point in your life, how important do you see relationships, like friendships, aside your family, your immediate family? How important do you think it is to have healthy relationships around?
I'm very big on friendship. Very, very. I'm writing a book on friendship. I've not told so many people, but I'm writing a book on. I'm very big on friendship. I think that, one of the best things that has helped shape my life, even up to this point, is the kind of friends that I have had growing up, and even up until this point. I know that, everything they say about your relationship, the people you surround yourself with, is very true. I was listening to a sermon recently, and the preacher said that anything that money can buy, relationship can buy. But there is nothing that money can buy that relationship cannot buy. And that struck me, and I know that it is very, very true. So there's nowhere you want to go to in life that, with the right relationship, you will not be able to go to. Like they say, you are 4 people away from the person you are trying to reach, the president, So I am very big on friendship. I think it's very important. I think that people who don't believe in friendships should open their hearts, just give it another chance. I don't know why they don't believe, but everybody out there cannot be terrible. Everybody out there cannot be bad. People are doing big. Oh my God! If we start this topic, we don't finish. I belong to this. I have like a clique of friends where I've seen us grow. I've seen us help one another. Just by using our strengths to pull each other up, even in business, in spirituality, in our marriages. I can't even imagine doing life without them. Do you get? And it's such that you cannot even, no one can take the glory. Do you get? So if you are in the right circle of friends, I think it helps your life. It helps your marriage, helps your career. I was watching an interview by Adetoun Jegede, and I was reading a book by her friend, her best friend, and 2 things that they said that they had in common was they had a group of women backing them up when they had to, when they had to do some things that were above them. Like when she was the chairman of Press Bank, for example, another friend said when she was appointed as a minister, she had a group of women that, they were backing her up. Imagine life without those women. So you need friends. I don't know how I think God created us to do life together. I don't know how people who don't have friends, I don't know how they survive. I'm very big on friendship. I can keep talking about friendship from now to tomorrow.
All right. So thank you. My next question is, from everything you said, I want to ask what you did personally for self-development. Like so far, did you read books? Like what really helped you? Like there is career growth, different. And what would you say that you've done in the past? How many years since you left school that has specifically helped you develop yourself?
I'm still on that journey. I won't say that I've arrived. I've not even started, right? But like I said, I'll start from the last thing I just said, which is the right circle of friends. Another thing is I do a lot of audiobooks. I listen to sermons, and before COVID, I used to any conference that I know would benefit me, I would go. Even the ones I could not afford, I could try and just gather the money. I used to go for conferences just to build myself up. So, and like I said, when I wanted to start business, I went for that business course. Anything I want to do, even now, I would, do what it takes to. I would equip myself with the knowledge because Bishop Adetoun, my chancellor, used to say something. He would say that to remain relevant in life, you have to keep learning. That thing has never left me. So I try to make sure I'm learning, no matter how little. Even if it's, I read a book this morning, 37 pages. I was dozing off and I told myself that I would finish this book because I knew that I was reading it on my phone. I knew that if it was Instagram, I would probably not be dozing off. So I was like, you must finish this book. So you just have to keep learning. You just have to keep, developing yourself. So I just try to do audiobooks, sermons, go for conferences, be in the right circle of friends, anything that will make me grow. I'm always up for it.
And then I think we need discipline for that.
Yes.
So like you said,
God is helping us. We all have the struggle. I won't come here and start telling you I'm disciplined as they lie. They lie, but God is helping us.
Alright. So my next question is about what's your opinion on financial independence as a woman?
I think it's very important. I think it's very, very important. Even if your husband is doing well, it doesn't mean that you should not still have something going for yourself. I think the freedom is just good, that you don't have to depend on yourself and on another person before you do something. It will be like, for example, now, in my own case, of course, my husband is doing better than me. But I like that I can just, recently I just told him I want to go on a retreat. And I went on a retreat on my own. I felt so good. Like, I went on a retreat, sponsored myself, for the number of days that I was. And that just felt so good that I didn't have to say, give me. It's not like if I had said, give me, he would, of course he would give me. But it just feels good to have something going for you. And it doesn't mean that if you don't have something going, it's a bad thing. It feels good to have something going.
Thank you. So, one of my last questions is about mentorship. So, what do you think? What's your opinion on? Do you think it's something people should indulge in? Like, did it ever help you in your journey so far? Did you have mentors, and were they all direct mentors, or there are people that you just you knew from afar and so? And then I know you've talked a lot about this is horizontal, right? Horizontal mentorship, like where from your friends and like that. So, but for vertical mentorship, or do you think it's something people should?
I think mentorship is good. However, I think it has been abused a lot in our society. And I also think that people don't have to know you personally to mentor you. You can read somebody's books and just start behaving like the person or feel like you were in the same room with that person. Even though I have a few people that I see as my mentor, I feel like mentorship is value exchange. It's not just one person giving or just one person receiving. It's you learning from me and me learning from you. That's the kind of mentorship I love. I have people who, a few people who say, okay, their mentor. But I don't see them as, down there. I see them as I can learn from them as much as they are also learning from me. And in the same way, even for myself, if I'm calling anybody my mentor, the person should not, because of that, just maybe see me as maybe a servant or whatever. It should be a value exchange relationship. So that's my view.
Thank you so much. My last question, I think now, is my major inspiration for starting this channel was because at that point in my life when I left school, I went to Pakistan University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when I left school, there was this rave in school then of what do you want to do after, even if it wasn't what you studied, but you must know something. And then I remember my friends and I would come together and be like, okay, after school, I may do this, I want to follow what I studied, or no, I'll own this. And then, we'll be like, after we'll come and visit each other in SUVs, we'll go for vacation, all those things. And we didn't really think about, maybe it's not going to happen immediately after school, all those kind of things. And I'm like, okay. And then, so when I left school, and I'm like, how long is this thing even going to take before we get to the enjoyment part? And there was a period in my life where I was really sad because I felt like I didn't get a job immediately after I served in Lagos, and after my service it wasn't just going. I was kind of confused because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to use what I studied. I wasn't really interested in accounting, and though I'm using it now. But so I was like, what do I didn't know what to do. So I was sad. I felt like everybody around me were kind of figuring it out. But I was just in the place of I don't know. And then though I was doing stuff at that moment, but I was still thinking, oh, my future is not ready, all those kinds. So I was very sad, and I talked to my friends, and I realized that they were feeling the same way, and we were all in that place of okay, so how do we now get out of this sadness? What do we do? And we just kept on living until like I spoke to someone one day, and she's like, and in our minds, your generation didn't go through this. We didn't know. Yeah, it was just like, oh, you guys are already, and then we're like, oh, when will we get to this point? Do you understand? So I spoke to someone, and she was like, oh, yeah, we've been there, done that. Kind of like we even it was even like maybe some people had even been through worse, and then we were just so hearing that story was inspiring. It made me feel like no matter what I'm going through now, no matter how depressed or sad I feel, time will go, this time will pass, yeah. And it was very encouraging for me. So what I'm driving at is, what would you advise people that are feeling pressured now to, general everybody that is feeling pressure, both people of my age, even I think I guess it happens to even older people.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what would you advise them to do to how I don't even know how to structure this question, but I think he gets
I get you. My advice would be that they should calm down. The process is part of the journey. Even if God gives you, sometimes God gives you a dream or a vision or an idea or whatever. He says that you are going to, I'm giving an example, you are going to be a furniture maker, for example, and then it just gives you a tree. It gives you a tree or a seed. But you saw in the vision that you are going to be a furniture maker. But now, what do I do with this seed? The process is part of the journey. You don't just up one day and boom, you're a furniture maker. You need to go through the process. You need to plant that seed. You need to water it. You need to, do everything to make sure it grows into a tree. And then make your furniture off the tree. Right? So the whole process, sometimes the waiting process can be crazy. Yeah. It can be very crazy. You feel like, God, are you even there? He is the script writer of your life. So he has the manual. I would say that, every time go back to him for the manual instead of just, taking steps and just making mistakes. Just wait and calm down. Go back to God. Is it time? Should I do this? Sometimes he even tells you what to do, but it's not yet time. In my case, I wanted to leave my job. I knew I wanted to leave, but it was not yet time until about 2 years before I knew that okay, it was time. So the process is part of the journey. Yeah. So that's what I would say. Just calm down and go through the process. It will not always be easy, but it will not always be like that. The good days will come. So that's it.
Thank you very much. I'm very encouraged. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.
I don't know if there's any other thing you forgot to mention that you'd like to say, or closing, or you have a closing remark, anything?
My closing remark would be that you should live life to the fullest, but live it not to please men, but to please God. So while you are living, ensure you are impacting lives, ensure you are doing things for God. Know God, make Him known. I think that's all like our lives should be about. No matter what you're doing, know God, make Him known. Let your light so shine that men may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. I'm very big on God, and I'm very big on, I don't think because you're a Christian your life should be boring. I'm very big on enjoyment. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Live a life of impact. When you meet people, when you live in a place or you work work in a place, let them have good things to say about you, you know. So live your life to the fullest. Know God, make Him known. That's mine.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I have learned a lot. I'm sure a lot of people will learn a lot from you. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.